Do you want to play amazing jazz piano solos like the legendary Oscar Peterson? While you might think that Oscar just makes up a new solo every time, you might be surprised to know that he actually reuses a lot of the same jazz licks in his solos. So if you want to sound like Oscar Peterson, it's essential to learn some of these licks. So in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you 10 amazing Oscar Peterson licks that you can instantly start using in your own playing. And I'm going to explain how these licks work so that you can start creating your own licks that sound just like Oscar. Now, we're going to take these 10 licks from Oscar Peterson's famous solo in 1963. This is a live performance in Sweden with bass player Ray Brown and drummer Ed Thigpen. I'm going to play Oscar's video so you can hear the solo, but I'm also going to play along with him on my keyboard so you can see exactly which notes he's playing, and then I'm going to break down each of these 10 licks afterward. Wasn't that an amazing solo? And if you're thinking, Johnny, there's no way I could play that solo, you would actually be surprised because a lot of the licks that Oscar just played could be played by a beginner jazz pianist. So what we'll do is we'll focus on one lick at a time, and we'll play Oscar's performance, which is pretty fast, but then I'm going to break it down slowly and show you exactly what he's doing. But before we do this, if you're enjoying this lesson, please hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this. All right, here's lick number 1. That's it. So to start, we're playing a blues in the key of F. And Oscar's starting off with this really simple line, okay? And he's basically outlining this chord called an F6, okay? Which you normally play down here, but he's outlining it up here, and then he's adding this blue note, right? It makes it kind of like a minor F chord. Okay, that's it. And then in the left hand, he's playing this other chord. This is called a C7. It's a 5 chord, which leads to your 1 chord, but he's adding a cool little note here, that A flat, and then he drops into an F9 chord, right? It's like an F7, but he's adding a 9th to it. Now, as I go through each one of these licks, I'm not really focused on the left hand. So I did notate the left hand here in the sheet music for you. It's a very basic pattern. It's not exactly what Oscar Peterson played, but it's fairly close. So it should give you an idea of the basic chords so that when you're playing these licks in your right hand, you know how the chords kind of work with the licks. All right, here's lick number 2. So that's it. Again, a very short lick, and if you're more on the beginner side, you absolutely can play this lick. So here's how the lick goes. Okay, actually incredibly simple. So in the right hand, I'm simply outlining the notes of the F blues scale. You see that? And then in my left hand, I'm playing these chords. There's that C7 with the flat 13, and I'm just dropping into my F7 or F9 chord. All right, here's lick number 3. This is such a simple lick. Okay, it only uses 3 notes, right? And once again, these notes come from that F6 chord. Again, anyone could play this. All right, lick number 4 is a little bit longer. I think you're gonna love this lick. It's actually one of my favorite in his entire solo. Check it out. So this lick really flies by, and it can sound kind of intimidating because Oscar plays it so quickly, but when I break it down for you in just a second, you're gonna be amazed at how simple it actually is. So the lick goes like this. And what Oscar's doing is he's simply walking up the notes of the F blues scale and then down. You see that? So simple. A beginner could play this, right? And then here's the cool part. He's gonna come down the F blues scale, He's going to change chords to a B flat 7, okay? He's adding a cool 13 to this chord, and he's going to do a little turn on the F blues scale. So he's going to go, you see that? So we'll turn on the A flat, come down the blues scale, and then he's going to use a little lower neighbor to the D, okay? Because he's walking into a chord tone on the B flat chord, okay? So he has, and then here's the really cool part. We're going to come down to our F on the bottom using the blues scale, and we're going to grab, that's the cool part, okay? So I'm using notes from the F blues scale. I'm coming down the blues scale, and the fingering matters here. I like to put the thumb on the B, and then we're going to go 3, 2, 1. Little gospel connector. It's like a B flat major chord. Back down to F, and we're going to finish the lick. Okay, and these are just the notes from the major blues scale. The major blues scale uses these notes. Okay, so he's coming up, there's the blue note, and he's kind of outlining an F major chord. All right, here's lick number 5. Again, a super short lick that any player could play. For this lick, he's going, and he kind of ends here on the C. I'm basically outlining kind of a big F6 chord, but I'm spreading all the notes out. And I land on my C. Great lick you can use when you're playing a blues solo. All right, lick number 6 is an awesome lick. It's a little longer, but it sounds super cool. Check it out. Okay, so here's the lick once more, and I'll break it down. So what Oscar's doing here is he's setting up his 2 chord in the key of F, which is a G minor 7. So he goes, he's using these 2 notes from the G minor 7 chord. You see that? Okay, now here's the really cool part. He's gonna outline a G minor 7 chord, but he uses this F sharp to lead into the G minor 7 chord. This is called a lower neighbor. Okay, we use this in jazz when we're soloing. So he's using a lower neighbor into a chord tone. And by the way, you can play your G minor 7 up here. This is how I notated it in the sheet music. But instead of playing the pinky on the F, use your thumb on the F, and then we're gonna go way up here to the 9th, which is A, and then check out the next line. Okay, super cool. So check this out. We're way up here on this high A, and we're gonna do what's called an enclosure to our C chord. And what we're doing here is we're targeting one of the chord tones of a C7 chord. This is the 5th, but we're enclosing it with the note just above and the note just below, okay? So that's what Oscar's doing. He's enclosing the G on the C7 chord, and then he does this cool line. Okay, for this line, basically, he's coming down like a G minor 7 chord. You could think of this as like a C7 with like a sus4, but it's basically just a G minor 7. And then he goes back to his F blues scale, right? All notes from the blues scale, and then he ends it with this line. Okay, for this, he's going, interesting. He's basically using notes from that F major blues scale, but he adds an E, okay? Well, guess what? This is a leading tone or a lower neighbor to the F, which is one of our chord tones, okay? So he has, okay? So after he goes back to the F, he does this cool little turn using the notes from kind of his F major blues scale, but he's also adding the E flat from the minor blues scale. So we have, and then he ends his line, super simple. So these are notes from the F minor blues scale, and he ends on kind of an F minor chord. Once again, you can think of these as notes from the minor blues scale. Now, this lick really encompasses one of the primary techniques that I see Oscar Peterson use when he's soloing, and that is that he combines the minor blues scale, this is the F minor blues scale, and the major blues scale. The F major blues scale is this. okay? So you actually end up with all of these notes that you can combine together to create some awesome jazz licks. And the technical name of this combined scale is actually called the Mixo Blues Scale, the F Mixo Blues Scale. It's actually a combination of the blues scale and the Mixolydian scale. But don't worry too much about the names of these scales. I just want you to understand the basic concept so you know what scale Oscar's using when he creates these licks. By the way, if you want to learn more blues licks just like the ones that you're learning in this lesson, we have a really great course on this topic called our Bible of Blues Riffs course. In this course, you'll learn 60 of my favorite blues licks for the beginner to intermediate level. We also have the intermediate to advanced level of this course where you'll learn 60 of my favorite intermediate to advanced level blues licks and riffs. So I'll put a link to both of these courses below. All right, here's lick number 7. For this lick, Oscar's playing this. Okay, I'm basically grabbing that B natural, setting up 2 notes from my F blues scale. So we have, and then I do this cool little rundown with 4 notes. You see that? So I'm using notes from the F blues scale, coming down to the A flat, and then sliding up to the A, and that finishes the lick. And once again, you can use this in your blues solos. It's a super short lick, but it sounds great. All right, here's lick number 8. So the lick goes like this. Okay, once again, super simple. Oscar is basically using 2 notes from the F blues scale, coming up, down to B flat, and then he plays this little line. These are notes from the F major blues scale, right? G sharp to A, and then we end our line. That's it. All right, lick number 9 is a little longer, but it's also one of my favorite licks. Check it out. All right, here it is at tempo, and then I'll break it down. So what Oscar is doing is he's actually outlining the B flat chord before it happens, okay? So we're on an F chord, okay? But he's doing this chord. He's outlining like a big G minor chord, or you could think of it as a B flat 13 chord. It's a jazzy chord that you can use over a B flat 7, okay? So it's an F chord. He's anticipating that B flat chord with this G minor arpeggio, and then he does this really cool thing. Ooh, what are we doing here? He's doing an enclosure on the C, which is the 5th of the F7 chord, okay? Does that make sense? And he's going back to our blues scale, and then we're gonna come down B flat. Super cool. Okay, what's happening here? He's basically coming down the notes of the F minor blues scale, but he's putting a D in there that comes from the major blues scale. Remember I said how often he does this in his playing. What's this? Again, it's the major blues scale and the minor blues scale combined, and he's harmonizing the notes, okay? And then he does a little lower neighbor to the B flat chord, and he grabs the 2 chord tones on the B flat 7 chord, okay? He's gonna come down the B flat chord, then we're gonna go back to our F minor blues, and we're gonna use a lower neighbor to the D, which is the 3rd of our B flat 7 chord, okay? So we have, and then the major blues scale, and then we end our line with this. Really simple, okay? So we're coming down that major blues scale, minor blues scale, lower neighbor to the 3rd of the chord. This is the F7 chord, and we end on the F, which is the root of the chord. And finally, lick number 10 goes like this. All right, here's the lick at tempo. So we're starting on the F chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, okay? And he does this really cool lead-in line starting on the and of beat 2, okay? So he's on the F chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, okay? And he's actually, once again, outlining the next chord. He's not playing an F7 here, he's outlining a G minor 7 chord, which is the next chord in the measure, okay? So once again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm gonna put my thumb on the F so I can get up to the 9, the A, with my pinky, and then I have this really cool line. Okay, really nice. So we have this little lead-in note, that F sharp, and then our next line, it's a G minor 7. Okay, I'm just outlining a G minor chord. Okay, these are basically notes from the F major scale, which you could use on a G minor chord, and then I've got this really cool line. Okay, what are we doing here? I'm using notes from the F major blues scale. I'm harmonizing it with a turn, turning off the G, coming down, major blues and minor blues. And then I do this cool little chromatic line that's gonna walk into the blue note, the A flat, of my next chord, which is an F7. Does that make sense? So this little chromatic line, it's a great way to walk into, in this case, a blue note. Usually you would do it on a chord tone, but in this case he walks into a blue note, and he ends his lick here using the notes of the F6 or the major blues scale. So he has, comes down, little gospel connector on the 4 chord, the B flat, and he ends his line. Okay, again, just notes from the major blues scale, and he goes up to the F, and then finally grabs a big A flat on the top, which once again is our blue note. All right, now that you've learned all 10 of these awesome Oscar Peterson licks, I want to play the full solo with you at a slow tempo so you can see exactly how all of these licks come together and the timing of the licks. So here we go, I'll count you off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the lesson, please let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out pianowithjonny.com. We have over 1,000 step-by-step courses for all playing levels where you'll learn your favorite songs, styles, and how to improvise at the piano. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.